If you've ever felt that sudden, unsettling gut instinct that something in your relationship had changed without any clear proof, then keep listening because what I'm about to share could finally make a lot of things click. Curious? Before we dive in, take a moment to hit subscribe and like this video, not for me, but for yourself. Understanding how relationships and human psychology work is your best defense against missing the subtle signs that so many men overlook until it's too late. Here's the truth. Most men think betrayal or cheating comes out of nowhere like a sudden storm. But human behavior doesn't work like that. Thoughtful. Almost every emotional shift leaves clues, tiny, almost invisible patterns, little changes in actions or mood that appear long before the reality becomes obvious. The challenge is that when a man loves deeply, his brain instinctively wants to protect the relationship. You explain things away, she's stressed, busy, distracted, or overwhelmed. Yet, attraction, secrecy, and emotional distance always leave traces in behavior. Over years of working with couples and individuals, one pattern keeps showing up. When a woman starts investing emotionally or romantically elsewhere, she rarely announces it outright. Instead, her actions begin to subtly change in ways that leave her partner confused. Not because she's intentionally trying to hurt him, but because humans are masters at compartmentalizing emotions. A person can still care about you while quietly shifting their energy elsewhere. This tension often brings guilt, irritability, and emotional distance. And eventually, these feelings seep into everyday behavior. The dangerous part is that most men fail to notice these early signals. They dismiss the signs or rationalize them, which is why small changes can eventually snowball into something bigger before it's ever confronted. Most men sense that something isn't quite right, but they can't put their finger on it. That's exactly what I want to help you understand today. These aren't accusations or paranoia, just psychological patterns that show up when a woman's emotional focus starts shifting away from a relationship. Once you recognize these signals, you stop guessing and start seeing behavior for what it truly is. The first sign usually catches men off guard. It's subtle and gradual. So subtle that most men dismiss it without a second thought. Her energy toward you begins to shift. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but slowly, like a dimmer being turned down. Conversations feel shorter, less animated. The curiosity she used to show about your day seems muted. And here's the trap. Most men assume the solution is to try harder, text more, plan more, give more attention. But psychology shows us that when someone's emotional energy starts going elsewhere, it naturally reallocates itself. 8. Think of emotional energy like a battery. When interest or investment begins flowing towards someone new, the energy in the old connection starts draining. That's why the first signs often feel like emotional distance. She may still talk to you, spend time with you, even laugh at your jokes, but something underneath the surface has shifted. Her warmth feels thinner, affection less spontaneous, and enthusiasm slightly dulled. Not because she dislikes you, but because attention, the currency of attraction, is quietly being redirected. The part that confuses men the most is what follows. Irritation. Small things that never used to bother her now feel like annoyances. Your presence may start to feel like an interruption. Jokes seem less funny, and suddenly you're asking the question every man dreads. Why does it feel like she's pulling away? Here's the reality that most men miss. When someone feels conflicted emotionally, the brain instinctively creates space to reduce guilt. That distance often shows up as coldness, impatience, or subtle detachment. Many men respond by seeking reassurance, hoping it will fix the drift. But reassurance alone doesn't address the underlying shift. Understanding behavior does, and when a woman's emotional focus begins moving elsewhere, another pattern usually follows. One that's noticeable but often misunderstood. Suddenly, her world becomes more private. Everyone deserves personal space, of course, but there's a difference between healthy privacy and the kind that signals emotional distance. At first, it's small things. Her phone lying face down, messages disappearing quickly, answers becoming vague or rushed. Individually, these seem minor, but patterns are what matter. When attention is being redirected, the brain automatically shields that new connection, sometimes without conscious thought, creating a protective bubble around what's new and exciting. You may notice her becoming subtly guarded about her phone. If you walk in unexpectedly, she might lock it. Questions about who she's messaging feel brushed off. Most men start doubting themselves here, convincing themselves they're overthinking, not wanting to seem insecure, and ignoring that nagging feeling in their gut. But instincts exist for a reason. Your brain constantly picks up microsignals, tone, body language, shifts in emotional energy. When those signals no longer match the closeness you once had, your mind starts searching for answers. It's crucial to understand that secrecy isn't always about hiding a specific act. It's often about protecting a new emotional connection. In psychology, this is called emotional compartmentalization, and it's a subtle but powerful sign that attention and loyalty may be quietly shifting elsewhere. Here's how it really works. When someone emotionally invests in another connection, the mind separates the two parts of their life so they don't collide. On one side is the existing relationship, and on the other is the new attention that feels exciting, validating, or stimulating. To keep these worlds from clashing, boundaries start forming. Privacy increases, routines subtly change, and conversations that were once open begin to feel closed off. Over time, a new behavior often appears that confuses men more than anything else. Instead of just pulling away, she may start becoming unusually critical. Suddenly, little habits or quirks that never mattered before start feeling irritating. Comments like, "You've changed," or "You don't understand me anymore," pop up. Men often respond by trying to fix things, analyzing their actions, and seeking approval. But here's the psychological twist. The brain hates holding two conflicting realities: loyalty to a partner and the excitement of someone new. To reduce that tension, it starts highlighting flaws in the existing relationship, a process called cognitive dissonance. This shift makes imperfections feel bigger than they are, and gradually, her mental narrative moves from "this relationship is valuable" to "something here isn't working." Healthy criticism is normal, but when critique becomes constant, sharp, and disconnected from solutions, it's often a sign that emotional attention is drifting. Many men respond by trying even harder to win approval, chasing validation they think will restore closeness. But this rarely repairs the detachment. Eventually, the final and quietest signal appears. Her priorities begin shifting. Time, attention, and emotional energy reveal what truly matters to someone. She may suddenly seem busier, cancel plans more often, or appear distracted even when you're together. The real change isn't just her schedule, it's her presence. Conversations feel forced, responses become shorter, and the connection that once came naturally now feels like work. This subtle shift triggers a quiet anxiety in men, the feeling that the relationship is slowly slipping away. When emotional focus moves elsewhere, the relationship can start feeling like an obligation rather than a priority. Not from malice, but because the brain is drawn to what feels new, exciting, and validating. This is why the four patterns: emotional distance, secrecy, unusual criticism, and shifting priorities almost always appear together. Here's the reality. Any single one of these behaviors could just be stress, life pressures, or normal ups and downs in a relationship. But when multiple patterns show up together, psychology tells us there's something deeper happening beneath the surface. This is the part I want every man listening to truly grasp. Your goal isn't to become paranoid or suspicious. It's to cultivate awareness. Men who understand human behavior don't ignore their instincts. They notice patterns, communicate clearly, and most importantly, protect their own self-respect. Because the most powerful place a man can ever stand is in clarity. Not fear, not denial, but clear understanding of what's really happening. If this conversation gave you even a small insight, hit subscribe and like the video. The more you understand relationship psychology, the less control, confusion, and doubt we'll ever have over your life, and the stronger and more confident you'll become in every connection you have. The truth is, relationships aren't built on luck. They're built on awareness. Emotional shifts, secrecy, criticism, and changing priorities are all signals, not accusations. Recognizing them early doesn't make you controlling or paranoid. It gives you clarity and insight into human behavior. When you understand these patterns, you stop guessing, stop doubting yourself, and start protecting your emotional energy and self-respect. Life is too short to ignore your instincts or allow confusion to dictate your happiness. The strongest position a man can ever hold is one of understanding and calm observation, where you see the reality of a situation without letting fear or denial take over. Awareness is power. When you operate from clarity instead of uncertainty, you make better choices, protect your heart, and step into relationships from a place of strength and confidence. All